Hello, everyone. My name is Casey Hoekstra, and I'm the program manager for the Learning Center. In this video, we will be talking about learning styles. So to get started, what are learning styles? Learners use different modes to receive, understand, and study information. And for some people, there is a dominant way that we prefer to take in information. It's the most effective when we're learning new material, and it helps us get through it. I want to acknowledge that there is some debate about whether learning styles exist or not. Some people say, yes, learning styles exist. That's the only way you should take in information. And other people say, nope, you can take in information anyway. You just have to do it. And I kind of fall in between there. I believe that there are different ways to take in information. So we do have different styles. And we do have a dominant way that makes it more efficient for us to learn. So yes, we are able to take in information in every way, but also why not use a way that's more effective for us? One way to learn what your learning style is through VARK. It's a questionnaire that helps your learning by suggesting different strategies that you should be using. So if you'd like to pause this video for a moment and head over to this link on the screen, you can take the VARK inventory questionnaire and see what your learning style is. The four learning styles that VARK suggests are visual, auditory, read, write, and kinesthetic. And we'll take a moment and go through all four of those. So first being visual, this preference uses symbolism, different formats, fonts, and colors to emphasize different points. Just because it is a video or a picture, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily visual. That could also be kinesthetic. So visual is more of having something that represents information rather than seeing a real life photo of it. If you are a visual learner, you should try using some or all of the following to take in information. The first is taking classes with lecturers who use gestures or picturesque language. If you can tell, I use my hands a lot. I'm a very visual learner. I'm also a visual teacher. But picturesque language can really help us imagine in our head what the information is, and gestures can help us kind of understand, the line of thought that person is having. Next is if there are, drawn pictures or videos that represent information, posters, slides, anything that helps you see something. Flow charts and graphs are going to be really huge for visual learners. When you're taking notes or studying your notes, underlining using different colors, highlighting in different colors, or just highlighting in general can help you visualize where specific information is at. Textbooks with diagrams and pictures, obviously we cannot choose the textbook our professor has for a specific course, but finding other additional information or other textbooks or online articles or whatever that has a diagram or a picture for us. And the last thing is having symbols instead of writing out full words, or having white space. So leaving areas in your notes that you can say, this is all connected, this is one concept, and then this is another concept over here. I know that they're different because they have this space in between them. Next is our auditory learners. So this preference is taking in any spoken or heard information, and then also the use of questioning. So talking through it yourself. If you have an auditory preference, you can use some or all of the following to take in information. The first one is attend class. Obviously, everyone in every learning style should attend class, but listening to lectures is really helpful for auditory learners because they're hearing that information. Attending discussions or tutorials. So if your class has a discussion section, or if you can get some peers together, talk about that, or talking with the tutor is really helpful as well. Discussing the topic with others. If you have someone in your life who's passionate about the same topics, you can talk through those, or again, finding peers in your class to talk through them. Discussing it with your teacher, especially if you have questions, but also just having that time outside of class where you can talk through the information again, and your teacher can respond and say, yes, this is right, or no, let's talk about it a little differently. Explaining new ideas to others, just talking through that information. They say if you're able to teach someone something new, it means that you have a good understanding of that information. During class, it can be helpful to use a tape recorder with your professor's permission, of course, because it is their intellectual property, but kind of being able to listen back to that information later in case you missed something, or just hearing it again to help you study through it. Auditory learners are really going to remember the interesting examples, stories, and jokes that professors or others are talking about when they're trying to teach you something new. Next is our read-write learners. These people prefer any printed word as their most important way to convey and to receive information. So people who are read-write typically tend to prefer having lists, right? Being able to write out everything to say this is what's important. They like to see the definition of words so that when they're reading, they can really understand what those words are trying to describe to them. Especially in class or presentations, these people prefer having some sort of handout so they can take notes that are guided of what they should be paying attention to. They like textbooks, they like reading, obviously, but those readings don't have to stop at just your textbook. The library has amazing resources, the internet has amazing resources. Finding different articles that describe things in different ways can help you understand the information better. These people also like to review notes or take notes, often verbatim, of what they're hearing so that they can go back and reread that lecture exactly how they heard it. And these people sometimes, not always, prefer essay questions on tests because they're able to write out everything that they know about that topic. And that can be helpful for them to process. And then our last learning style is kinesthetic. This preference uses experiences and things that are real, even if they're shown as a picture or video. So like we talked about earlier, the difference between visual and kinesthetic. If it's showing a real life example, it's kinesthetic. So our kinesthetic learners can try doing these different learning activities. The first one is using all your senses, trying to involve your be fully involved in the experience. So sight, touch, taste, smell, hearing. Obviously, it's contextual. You won't be tasting stuff in your chemistry class. You might not be smelling history or whatever, but just making sure that you're trying to get as involved as possible. These people will really thrive in lab classes because they have that hands-on experience, doing field trips, real life examples, applications, also doing stuff trial and error. So I know why it's wrong because I did it and it was wrong, right? I found out the reason why it wasn't right. This can be helpful for kinesthetic learners. Also seeing exhibits, samples, photographs, anything that can show us that real life example of what we're trying to learn. And then the last thing is recipes. So not necessarily, a recipe for baking something, but a solution to the problem. So if someone can say, this is how I walked through this particular learning activity. This is what I did to study for my test. This is what the last exam looked like. This is what I'm expecting you to turn in for your paper. That can be really helpful for kinesthetic learners because it's that real example that we can use to base our experience off of. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, everything about our learning styles. Again, I want to acknowledge all people can learn in all different learning styles, but we might have that way that we really prefer. You might be a mix of a couple different learning styles. You might have one that's really dominant, but just trying out different learning activities and studying in different ways so that we can find what works best for us. Maybe we're kinesthetic in one class and we're more visual in another class. We might be auditory for history and more kinesthetic for our chemistry or something like that. So just making sure we're trying out things, really listening to ourselves and seeing this isn't working for me or this is really working well. If you do have any more questions about learning styles or anything related to your academic success, definitely do not hesitate to reach out. You can visit our website, learningcenter.utah.edu, give us a call at 801-581-5153, or send us an email at learningcenter@utah.edu. I hope that you gained something good from this presentation and you feel like you're prepared to take on this semester and succeed in your academics. Thank you.